Good morning, guys. Today's screencast is all about leads and reminding you what the qualities are of all strong leads, but then also taking a look specifically at feature article leads because that's what you're going to work on writing today. So, as a little reminder, I like to start out with some questions you should ask yourself when you're writing a lead, and these will help keep in mind what leads are supposed to do, the job of any lead in any piece of writing. So you should ask yourself, did I give the reader something interesting to think about right from the start? Because that's what leads do. They should hook you in. They should make you feel curious and want to keep reading. And that leads on to the next one. Will my reader actually want to keep reading when they see these first couple paragraphs? Have I tried to grab the reader's attention? And very importantly, did I let the reader know what is coming? Another function of a lead is to give a sneak peek or a little preview so that your reader can begin to activate their schema, so that they can pull up that background knowledge, kind of orient themselves to the type of information that is about to start coming their way so they can organize it in their mind and find some connections to things they already know. So in general, when we're looking at leads, that's what we're thinking about. You might want to pause here, keep that in mind, or refer back to this at any point during the writing of your own lead. But now let's take a look at some feature article specific things. The teaching point for today, and you have a handout, so I should ask you to get your handout on your desk with you while you're watching this and have something to write with in case you want to jot down some notes. But the teaching point today is that there's no one right way. There's no exact formula for leads, or closings for that matter, in informational writing, which is what you're doing in a feature article. You're informing your audience. Great leads in this genre, they can be simply straight up informative. They could be anecdotal. That means it could be a story of a real experience. They could be meant to shock. And they should certainly all be engaging and make you want to keep reading. But the style you choose all depends on what you want the audience to understand, how you want them to feel, and what your topic is and what feels appropriate. So today we're going to look at a few leads, and they're all possible. They're all ones used in feature articles that we've read, but we also want to look at why the author chose that style, because that's ultimately what you're going to have to decide for yourself. So we'll analyze the prose, and then we'll use the ideas that we learned to create our own leads. So let's start by taking a look at the first feature article we read, which was Outbreak. And this was the lead in Outbreak. It starts with a fever, like many other illnesses. But before long, victims have terrible stomach pains and start vomiting and gasping for air. They begin to bleed internally as the virus attacks the vital organs. The skin erupts in bruises and large blisters. In some cases, blood pours uncontrollably from the nose and eyes. About 60% of victims die, usually within the week. Why don't you take a moment, you might want to pause the video and answer these questions for yourself. Think about your own topic, but first think about, why did the author choose this style? What is this? How would you describe this? What are they trying to accomplish in this lead? And if you had to apply that same style to your article, how would it sound? What would you say if you were going to try to emulate and experiment with this particular style? So push pause and think about that. Okay, now let's take a look at the second one. This is a different example. This is from the Anthem Uproar article. On August 26th, as a stadium full of fans rose for the national anthem before a preseason football game, San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick did the opposite. He sat down. Kaepernick later explained that he took a seat during the anthem to protest police brutality and racial injustice in the United States. Quote, "I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag or a country that oppresses black people and people of color," he said, referring to recent police killings of African Americans. Almost immediately, the move caused a national uproar, with many people accusing Kaepernick of insulting America by not participating in the patriotic ritual that's long been a fixture at sporting events. I hope you can see in this particular lead, like the last one, you are getting a preview of what this whole article is going to be about. You're understanding that there's controversy around what he's done. You're understanding exactly what he's done and why he did it. Notice this one used an anecdote. They used a specific real life experience, a real life example of this happening to kick it off. So again, I'd like you to push pause and consider these three questions. Take your time and think it through because this thinking work is really important. This is how it's going to help you apply it to your own writing. All right, let's take a look at Haiti in crisis. When Hurricane Matthew slammed into Haiti in October, the massive storm brought torrential rains and 145-mile-per-hour winds that destroyed almost everything in its path. In the town of Laquais, residents watched as a man was blown off a ledge into rushing water and then killed by a falling wall. At Port Salut, wind ripped the roof off Destine Roosevelt's home. Before he could get two of his children to safety, the house crumpled on top of them. By the time the hurricane subsided, the country was ravaged. In Lacaudenie, so few structures were left standing that hundreds of people were living in caves, the smell of death still lingering over everything. Okay. Do you notice anything different from Haiti in crisis to the previous two leads that we've read? Push pause, think about that question, and answer these questions for yourself. Truly struggle with it. Take your time. All right, this is the last lead we're going to look at, and I want you to think about how it's similar to and maybe different from the previous three leads we've seen. This is from I Was Homeless for 6 years. On nights when she can't crash on a friend's couch or find a bed at a shelter, Brianna DeMaio has to sleep in a park, huddled up inside a tube slide or under a bridge. In the winter, she tries to ward off frostbite by wearing gloves and doubling up on socks. DeMaio, now 18, has been homeless for 6 years since she, her mother, and her older sister were evicted from their house in Portland, Maine. DeMaio's mother struggled with alcohol abuse and couldn't keep up with the bills. After the family lost the house, DeMaio's sister went to live with friends, her mother moved in with her boyfriend, and DeMaio was left to survive on her own. Which leads do you find this one to be similar to? And how is this lead a little bit different than some of the others? What do you think the author's purpose was for this kind of lead? And if you were going to apply it to your own writing, what would it sound like for your topic? I hope you notice that all of these leads have some things in common. And if we come back here, we can see each one of those did give us a preview of what was to come. And each one did accomplish these things. It gave us something interesting from the beginning. We did want to keep reading. We were curious. It had our attention. But it accomplished that in some slightly different ways. Use these models and use what we know a lead is supposed to accomplish as you sit down and start writing yours. You have the whole class period to do this today, so I encourage you to write several different leads, try to emulate several different styles, and see which one feels the best, fits your purpose, fits your topic, fits what your audience is going to need. Go for it.